You know the feeling? It's 4th of the month. The direct debits have just left your account. You open your banking app. You stare at the number that is left and something cold settles in your chest. Not panic, just maths. This is not a video about getting rich. This is a video about one specific number. The exact number your financial life in the UK stops being the question of survival and starts being the question of freedom. That number is £20,000. And here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. According to the latest Financial Conduct Authority data, 1 in 10 UK adults have no savings at all. 21% have less than £1,000. For most people in this country, £20,000 is not a number they will ever see. A few years ago, I was in £30,000 debt and I had no plan to get out. One night, I checked my account and the balance was minus £387. The rent was due in 4 days. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the dark doing maths I couldn't solve. I wasn't lazy. I was working full time. I was making the minimum payments. The number just never moved. That is what life on the wrong side of £20,000 actually feels like. What I'm about to show you is the exact reason that feeling exists and why the day you finally cross that line, it disappears. Most people think the problem with their finances is that they don't earn enough. They believe a pay rise will fix everything. It won't, not in the way you think. The best way to understand it is a concept from Harvard and Princeton called the Scarcity Tax. When your bank balance is always close to zero, your brain enters scarcity mode. You start tunneling. You only see the immediate crisis. Council tax due on the 5th, the car insurance renewal on Tuesday, the electricity bill that went up by £47. You cannot plan future than the next paycheck. Sandil Mullainathan and Elder Shafir studied this. They found that financial scarcity costs you the equivalent of 13 IQ points, not because you are less intelligent, because the worry consumes the cognitive bandwidth you would otherwise use for everything else. That is the scarcity tax. You make the worst decisions at work. You sleep badly. You snap at people you love. You cannot hold long-term plans in your head because your brain is permanently solving short-term arithmetic. In the UK right now, 1 in 4 adults worries about money at least once a day. 80% of 25 to 30 years old say financial stress has affected their mental health. This is not a character flaw. It is a mathematical inevitability of having no buffer. And it has a literal pound figure attached to it. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, the most important question. Why £20,000? Why not 5,000? Why not 50,000? What is so special about this exact number in the United Kingdom? Most people pick a savings target out of thin air. They aim for £5,000 to £10,000 because those numbers sound nice. But arbitrary targets fail. They have no anchor and no reason behind them. The best way to set a target is to use a number that is mathematically and structurally meaningful in the UK. £20,000 hits 3 of those at once. Number 1, the full UK ISA allowance for a tax year is exactly £20,000. That means £20,000 is the maximum you can shelter from tax in a single year. Once you hit this figure, your savings naturally bridge into investing. Number 2, the average UK households spend roughly £2,000 a month on essentials like rent or mortgage, council tax, utilities, food and transport. £20,000 covered 9 to 10 months of essential expenses for an average UK household. This is far beyond the standard 6 months emergency fund. It is the upper end of what financial advisors recommend for anyone in stable job. For self-employed people or contractors, it is a textbook target. Number 3, £20,000 puts you above the median UK household for liquid financial wealth. The median UK household has £15,000 in total liquid savings, ISAs and investments combined. Cross £20,000 and you're not just ahead of average, you're ahead of half of the country and the only number that buys you sleep at night. That is why £20,000 is the firewall. Now let me show you exactly what life looks like on the wrong side of that wall. Because if you have ever had a buffer, you don't know how much it is actually costing you. Most people think being broke just means having less money. It doesn't. It means paying more for the same things. The best way to understand this is a phenomenon called the poverty premium. In the UK, people on low incomes with no savings buffer pay on average of £490 more per year for the same essential goods and services as people who are better off. For 1 in 10 low-income households, the poverty premium reaches at least £780 a year. When high-cost credit is factored in, some households pay £2,250 more per year for the exact same quality of life. You must be thinking how. Let me give you a few examples. Pay-as-you-go energy tariffs cost more per unit than direct debit. That is due to prepayment meters surcharge. Insurance premiums are higher when you cannot pay annually upfront. Credit card APRs in the UK are now at a record of 35.7%. An unexpected 500 bill arrives and you have nothing saved. You put it on a credit card. That £500 turns into £675 over the year. Then the next bill comes, and the next. 24% of British households are caught in this trap right now. The total cost to the UK economy of the poverty premium is £2.8 billion every single year. £2.8 billion. Just because people cannot afford to pay for things the cheap way. This is the literal financial cost of having no buffer. When you cross £20,000, that tax disappears overnight. You pay your insurance annually. You switch to direct debit on every utility. You stop touching the credit card. Your interest payments stop. The compounding flips from working against you to working for you. So that is the cost. But what does it actually feel like the day you finally cross that line? There is research on this, and the answer surprised me. Most people assume the more you save, the happier you become. The richer people feel better, the higher they climb. But the data doesn't say that. The best way to understand the well-being gain from saving is to look at where the curve is steepest. The University of Bristol Personal Finance Research Centre published the most comprehensive UK study on savings and well-being in 2024. They found that the biggest jump in the life satisfaction from saving happened at the bottom of savings distribution, not from £100,000 to £200,000, but from £0 to £20,000. Going from saving nothing to saving regularly increased the life satisfaction by 19%. Going from £100,000 to £500,000 does not move the needle nearly as much. That is the sleep test. The moment you have £20,000 set in a separate account, you stop checking your balance every day. You stop calculating which bill you can delay. A separate Building Societies Association study found that just a £2,000 saving buffer cuts your risk of falling behind on bills by 60%. 60% from just £2,000. Imagine what 10 times that does. The day you hit £20,000 is the day the boiler can break and you don't panic. The car can need a new gearbox and you don't lose sleep. Your electric shower can die and you simply replace it. That is not wealth. That is something rare in this country. That is peace. Let me pause here for a second. Look at what you already know. You know what the scarcity tax actually costs you, both mentally and financially. You know exactly why £20,000 is the firewall and not some other arbitrary number. You know about the poverty premium that quietly drains up to £2,250 a year from people without a buffer. And you know that the biggest well-being gain from savings happen at the bottom of the curve, not at the top. That already puts you ahead of almost everyone scrolling their feed today. But knowing why does nothing without the how. What comes next is the actual system, the exact path from wherever you are right now to £20,000. And then I want to tell you what happened to me 3 weeks ago. Most people try to save without a system. They put whatever is left at the end of the month into a current account, paying 0% interest. That is why they never get there. The best way is a 4-step structure that works on any UK income. Step 1. Open the right account. Forget your high street bank savings account. The best easy access cash ISAs in the UK right now pay over 4% tax-free. Move your savings out of the current account today. Step 2. Automate the day you get paid. The day you get paid, set up a standing order to move a fixed amount into a cash ISA, whatever you can, 50, 200 or 500 pounds. If you do this manually each month, you will fail. If it is automated before you see the money, you will succeed. Step 3. Use the 1-3-6 month placement framework. Your first £2,000 stays in instant access savings. That is your immediate buffer. The next £4,000 to £6,000 goes into a cash ISA, accessible within days, tax-free. Anything beyond £6,000 can move into notice account or premium bonds for marginally higher returns. NSI premium bonds currently pay over 3% prize fund rate, completely tax-free, with capital fully protected by HM Treasury. Step 4. Don't touch it. This is the part most people fail at. The savings is not a holiday fund, not a new sofa, not a new phone upgrade. It is a firewall. It exists for one purpose only, to protect you from a disaster. That is the system. It's not exciting, but it's correct. Now I want to tell you what happened to me 3 weeks ago, because this is the moment I realized the £20,000 firewall was real. 3 weeks ago, our boiler died. It was 13 years old, never serviced properly before we bought the house. The engineer said, replace it now or live without heating. The new boiler with installation came over £3,500. 5 years ago, that bill would have destroyed me. I would have put it on a credit card. I would have spent the next 2 years paying it back with interest on top. 3 weeks ago, I just paid it. I didn't lose sleep that night. I didn't have to choose between paying the heating bill and feeding my family. I just paid it because the firewall was there. That is what £20,000 actually buys you. Not a Rolex, not a holiday in the Maldives. The ability to handle real emergency without it derailing your entire life. Now compare that to where I started 5 years before that boiler bill. Minus £387 in my account and rent due in 4 days. That is the same person, different sides of the firewall, two completely different lives. So here are the 4 shifts that happen the day you cross £20,000. Number 1. The scarcity tax stops. Your brain stops doing 2 a.m. arithmetic. The cognitive bandwidth comes back. Number 2. The poverty premium flips. You stop paying the broke tax on insurance, energy, and credit. You start saving £500 a year just by paying for things the right way. Number 3. The sleep test passes. You stop checking your balance every day. Emergencies stop being catastrophes. Number 4. The compounding flips. The interest that was working against you starts working for you. That is why £20,000 changes everything. And here is something nobody tells you. The hardest part of this entire journey is not the last £5,000. It is the first £2,000. The Bristol research found that the well-being gain from £0 to £2,000 is bigger than the gain from £18,000 to £20,000. So if you are starting from 0, do not stare at £20,000 mountain. Stare at £2,000 first. Hit that target, feel the shift, and then keep going. Let me pull this all together. £20,000 is the firewall. It exists because of 3 structural reasons: the full UK ISA allowance, 10 months of essential expenses, and above the UK median household. The scarcity tax is real, and it costs you 13 IQ points and your sleep. The poverty premium drains up to £2,250 a year from people without a buffer. The sleep test shows the biggest well-being gain from saving happens at the bottom of the curve. Use the 4-step path. Write accounts, automate 1, 3, 6 months placement, and don't touch it. And start with £2,000, not £20,000. The day you hit £20,000, your savings job is finished. Your investing job has begun. Because once you have the firewall, every pound after that is supposed to do something different. It is supposed to grow. I made a video showing exactly how to start investing, step by step, click by click. It's a good one. But before you click on it, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you over there.